Good evening. You're watching the Cheese Room podcast, and I am indeed the caller. I'm joined. Sorry, we're late. First of all, I should say sorry we're late. It's because HG couldn't get his act together, but he's here now. As is a man who is a myth, a legend. He's often seen like this, sometimes seen like this, but joining us all the way from Woolwich. Steve, the accountant, how are you?
I'm good, apart from the fact I clearly need to buy another T-shirt. Back from Vegas, back from COVID. Was expecting to be next to the Emirates tonight, but I'm actually in Arsenal's proper home, which is Woolwich, where they can fuck off to. So, good evening.
Have you ever tried to hit it with anything when you're drunk?
The stadium?
Yeah.
No comment.
Yeah.
No comment.
When I was in Dubai, I did a bit of fruit tossing at 3 a.m. from a balcony, and I thought, if I had your apartment, I would absolutely be all over that. Watermelons, the lot, the most expensive fruit you can find. Also, a warm welcome to the Cheese Room's best-looking Australian. Not that that's tough when his competition is an over-the-hill Oasis fan. Good morning, down under, JP. How are you, sir?
Good morning, doing well. I've got very excited children in the background screaming and running around, so apologies if that starts coming through the walls at any point.
Yeah. Well, if it does, we'll just put it down to, we've all got kids, we know how it rolls. HG, how are you? Fashionably late, but feeling great. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's another week. Paddy's Day has been and gone. I enjoyed that. And nothing else to say.
And
I
fresh,
was on
fresh back from TOT, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I should say, I don't know who Bobby K is, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoyed being on with a decent host for a change.
Well,
Thanks, Brian Ireland. Even my mum thought Brian Ireland was pretty good. So it's.
I mean, if that's the bar, I'm off. See you later. And by the way, we've got some Oasis wannabe with us. Dave, all the way from Australia. How are you? We're having a little debate before the show. Is Dave Australian or not? So let us know in the comments what you think by his accent. Twinge off?
Well, look, I've got an Aussie passport. I pay taxes. I vote. But, that's what I am. I'm an Australian. That's what it is. I'm a citizen. But I'm English. I'm both. I'm a chameleon.
Who do you support in the cricket?
England.
Then you're not an Aussie?
Absolutely. 100%.
Well, I live here, don't I?
If he's got a passport, it counts, surely.
I've got a passport. I've got 2 passports. There you go. So I'm a comedian. So apologies for the silence.
It sounds like you're saying comedian, but clearly that's not true. So it must be chameleon.
I've read your run sheet. That's definitely not true. Yeah. But yeah, welcome, Dave. It's good to have you back on. It's been a long time since me and you did a show together, so
it has been a long time. I'm looking forward to our bonhomie and repartee between each other today. Likewise.
Well, before we start, I'd just like to express our best wishes to former captain Gary Mabbott, who's had an operation today and has been in hospital artery surgery. Real shame because he's an absolute legend. I've met Mabs, and I know you, Steve, are kind of like almost besties with him. He's always in the Tunnel Club, isn't he?
He is, he's a good guy. Really kind-hearted, done a lot for the club, and obviously very famous across Spurs fans and further for what he did during COVID. I can't remember how many people he's called now. Can you guys? There's like 5,000 or something during COVID.
Thousands.
So,
yeah.
And he was spending pretty much all day, every day, speaking to the elderly and the needy, people like Dave and such. So
I was thinking that. Yeah,
good guy.
Were you alone for Christmas, Dave?
There's me and Mabsy were on the phone all day. I was talking to him about his debut against Liverpool in the Charity Shield in 1982 that I was at.
Well, as long as it wasn't the cup final where he scored an own goal.
No, I was at that as well. Moving on. So we're going to have a look back at Brighton. We're going to have a look forward to the derby at the weekend. You may have noticed there is a cat
on our artwork to honour the West Ham clash this weekend. I hope lots of people have brought cardboard cutout caps, but we will get onto that as we move through the show. Joke for the best cap joke. Yeah, the best cap joke at Zuma's expense will win a prize. I don't know what. I think I've got some Cheese Room T-shirts knocking around. You can have one of them. So for the panelists, yeah, think on. Brighton, obviously, away first. So let's have a little look at how the teams lined up. Any surprises in that for you, Dave?
No surprises. I mean, my concern is that I still think we've got a thin squad. I thought that after the August deadline day, and I still think that now. I mean, I know we got rid of 4 and brought 2 in, but I would have kept the Celso. I don't rate him, but I think just have another body on the bench. But this is a proper full strength team. I would have Skip in for Højbjerg, but other than that, that's pretty much it.
By the way, Dave, I thought you were going to start having a rant towards Enoch then, as per. Do you know someone tweeted me the other day and said, "Oh, why is it you don't have anti-Enoch people on your show?" I'm like, clearly you don't watch the show because Dave wrote the book, didn't you?
I hate Enoch. I don't want them as our owners, but we don't have to do an Enoch rant every time I'm on. Come on.
No, but you normally do.
I mean, but the point, but whoever makes the point, there's people who make points on Twitter that the cheese room's pro Enoch and this, that, and the other. No, it's not. It's a discussion of people from different parts of the world. Tottenham fans, we all love the club. We've all got different opinions. It's called a discussion. So my rant is against the bloke who thinks it's not anti-Enoch from the bloke who hates Enoch. There you go.
There you go. Thanks for that, Dave. Still no Skip. JP, how worried are you about Skip's absence? He's not featured for a long time now.
Yeah, pretty worried. I mean, it leaves us, as Dave said earlier, really light in midfield. We've only got Winks really to come in there. And I'm with Dave. I think Skip comes in place of Højbjerg, although I thought Højbjerg did really well against Brighton. So yeah, it's definitely concerning. Definitely want him back, and I agree. We probably should have kept one of the 3 we shipped off.
Well, he had a little dig at the medical staff. HG, did you hear Conte digging out the medical staff?
Not word for word, but I mean, he had to go at everyone else, doesn't he? So why not the medical staff?
Yeah, he was. He's not happy. Ollie Skip, when he comes back, walks in the side for you for who? Højbjerg, I guess.
No, not for me. If I'm honest, if you look at what Conte's done, it was always Højbjerg +1 before Bentancur showed up. I expect Bentancur would come in and be one of the 2. So it's I'd be surprised if Skip came straight back in. He's not a bad player, and we'd not be losing much at all. But I have a feeling that he trusts Højbjerg and Bentancur more, if only for the experience that they have. Skip's had a really good season, and there's no denying that. But I think that if he was fit, he would be on the bench. Interesting.
I'm just going to throw that over to Steve. I'll take you off mute. It sounds like you're having a party there. Number one, your party sounds great, but Steve, would Skip go back in the team for you straight away?
It's a difficult one because Højbjerg is pretty up and down in terms of form, isn't he? Again, I think JP said against Brighton, he played very well. But I think against better teams, he plays poorly. Yeah, against United, I don't think he was very good. I would agree with HG. I wouldn't bring him in for every game straight away, but I'd certainly have him maybe on a rotation with Højbjerg as soon as he comes back fit. And I do think over time he'll be a much better player than Højbjerg as well.
Okay, it's an interesting debate. Dave, coming to you then. So first bit of action. I mean, there was a few skirmishes and then a bit of a nasty head injury for Eric Dyer. I must confess, I was out of the room making a brew at that moment and didn't see exactly what happened to his head. But I did see him relish putting the old bandage on, butcher style. What were your thoughts on that?
He was looking like
Terry got a yellow, I think. Yeah.
I think that he got a yellow. I don't think it was a real deliberate flying elbow. And I think that it's an unfortunate injury, but Dyer got to display his Terry Butcher characteristics, and he played on. So I didn't think it was a sending off, but I thought he had a good game actually.
Okay. And then Brighton seemed to have a fair old bit of the ball without causing any problems. HG, we've talked a lot about Brighton, mainly because I'm a bit of a Potter fanboy, but they seem to have a lot of the ball without doing very much with it in those opening stages of the game.
Well, isn't that Brighton to a T? I mean, even when they've got all their players fit, which they didn't have against us, but even if they did, that's pretty much who they are. They're very good at keeping the ball. They know what they want to do. They're just, because they haven't really got a striker, they're unable to do it as often as they would like and as often as they probably should. So I don't know. Brighton are Brighton. Like, until they find a striker, I don't know where they're going to find one, because I think they've been trawling the free transfers a little bit, going for people like Lallana and Welbeck and maybe some experience, hoping that will take them over the line. But I don't know, because it's weird that with Potter being, I think Potter's shown a lot as Brighton manager, but unless he can get a striker, maybe people will never really see exactly what his teams are capable of, and that's a problem. So I'm glad that he didn't have one on Wednesday, and I'm glad that he won't have one in a month when we play him again. But Brighton are pretty, but pretty toothless.
I mean, talking about toothless, so JP, you could have scored that open goal that Kane missed in the first few minutes, couldn't you?
Yes, I think a cat could. Baffling. Like, he'll score that every other time he gets the opportunity. Just one of those moments you got to peg it down to. I'll blame him, but I can't be upset about it because he scored later on in the game.
And you're rocking the shirt that he was wearing at the time, our away kit.
I've got never mess with the winning formula.
Yeah, I've got to say, I think it's a beautiful kit. HG hates it, so that just makes my love for it grow even more.
No, I think it's better. I think it's better than the third kit, but that is an extremely low bar. It's awful. It's nothing to do with Spurs, that kit. Nothing at all.
I did spend a good amount of time yesterday slagging the kit off in the chat, and then my mum's come from overseas and bought me and the kids all the shirts. So I'm wearing it out of respect.
All the shirts. I think. What's this one? Gov, shout out Gov, channel member. I think Potter lacks the quality person on the wings and the striker. Potter, yeah, I think Potter's a good coach. I just think you're right, HG. Until he's got a forward, you're never going to really know what his side's capable of. They play nice football, though, don't they?
Yeah, they really do.
I put that down.
It was great that they lost 2-0.
Yeah, they did lose 2-0. So, and then we saw this moment. Kane got another free kick. I mean, there was a bit of a protest there. So just stop putting Kane on free kicks, I think. Why do we do it? Why is Harry Kane? I thought we got past this, Steve. I thought we got past this because Kane, he didn't take it the last couple, did he? I think Dyer did. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's like a bad smell. He's back taking free kicks. What's going on?
As a club, we never learn. I mean, Eriksen took corners. Eriksen, I mean, maybe I'm a bit of hyperbole here, but Eriksen never once beat the first man on the corner. You knew it was always going to hit the first man, and Kane's never going to score from a free kick. Yeah. I think the only free kick Kane has scored from was the one against Aston Villa away, where it bounced off a Villa player.
Yeah.
So I've got no idea. We've got some decent, ball strikers. Kerry said Dyer does a good free kick. He does, but again, how many has he scored? He's taken a fair few.
Yeah.
So I think it's time for somebody else to have a go.
Do you not think, I'm sure Kula Sexy might be able to pop one in there? Surely, HG. If you know him better than I do, has he got that in his locker?
I mean, I haven't seen him do it because I think other people tend to take them for Sweden, and when he was at Juventus too. I mean, Dybala was on a load of them for Juventus. But I think that's Spurs' biggest issue is you look around the team and you think, actually, I mean, when Son takes the corner, I'm not expecting much. So I don't think it really matters who takes the free kicks. I'm not expecting much. The delivery isn't there. Let's be fair. The last person who was anywhere good on set pieces was flipping Lamela. because he had no one around him to stop him.
Praise finally for Lamella from HG.
Yeah, no.
Can we timestamp this?
Lamella was really good when there was no one within 10 yards of him. I mean, that's how it works. So, but yeah, I don't look at anyone else and think. I mean, Dyer is the one that we think, okay, he might because he's come close a few times. Kane doesn't even come close.
Scored for England. Scored a cracker for England as well, didn't he?
Yep.
So, that's where I suppose the belief comes from. Yeah, but please, Kane, step away from the penalty, and we promise not to send any more protesters in. Apart from all of that action, it seemed a bit pedestrian. Dave, were you bored, snoring? What time was it in Australia?
It was a 6:30 kickoff in the morning. To be honest, I had a bit of a hangover, and it was
Slept on the couch.
Yes, and it was just pedestrian, really. I mean, the only things I can remember is the miss by Kane, and then Bentancur hitting the ball over the top of our goal. You remember that bit? And other than that, it was just a bit boring, really.
I think Ben Davies tried a shot, didn't he, from about 30 yards?
Yeah.
Ben Davies always tries a shot from 30 yards, to be fair. He has one every game. And it always hits the first defender.
Yeah. And then obviously Kulusevski's shot from the edge of the box deflected in. Did Romero mean that, did he, Steve?
I mean, I think I'd be lying if I said yes. But Kulusevski, another assist, because I know how much HG loves the assists.
I hate it too, for the record.
I mean, clearly he didn't mean it. The commentator seemed to indicate he did, which is clearly a bit of bull. But yeah, he didn't mean it.
The thing is, JP, Kulusevski's brought. He shoots, doesn't he? He takes shots from outside the box, and shots make things happen sometimes. You get, deflections, as in this case, which is all it was, let's be honest. But it causes trouble. Keeper might spill it. Kane follows up. There's always, we always look better when we've got someone shooting on target from distance, not a Ben Davies 30-yard over the bar. And he's brought that to the team, hasn't he? How impressed with him have you been?
Yeah, I've been really impressed. I will say his shots per 90 are the highest of his career ever at this point. So arguably he's running a little bit hot. But also if you look at all of his underlying numbers in terms of key passes and expected goals, he's thereabouts with where he was at Parma. And for 21 years old, if he was putting up these numbers for the first time in his career, you'd be a little bit worried that maybe he is just running hot. But given you only have to go back 2 years to see him putting up similar numbers, it's really encouraging for the future. I think he can only go up, and that those kind of year and a half at Juventus was probably more to do with him not getting consistent minutes at Juventus.
There's 80 people watching already. I don't know how many likes, so I haven't got a clue, but please do smash the like and subscribe button while you're here. We appreciate you watching. If you're in the mood, send us a cheeky super chat too, and we will get to your comments throughout the show. HG, Kulusevski, again, I thought brilliant player. Probably best player on the pitch apart from Kane. He's making a massive difference, isn't he?
Yeah, he's far better in the system than Lucas is. I mean, he's a far better player than Lucas anyway. But I just, I don't want 21. To say that I said 21. It, but you can do that if you want. I've always liked Kulusevski. And yeah, to me, he's 22 next month. It's the whole, is he 28 or 29? No, he is still 21. But it's... you've got to be happy. You've got to be happy with what he's doing. Like I feel like he's still kind of in and out of games a little bit, but when he gets the ball, the odds of him doing something amazing are so much better than anyone we've had really in that role for a very long time. That I'm thrilled. I mean, I know that it's 10 million to loan him, and then another 35 if we buy in the summer. So for 45 million euros, that's a fair chunk of money, but. It's worked, so it doesn't matter. Romero's a fair chunk of money.
Celso?
I think the Celso all-in was about £40 million.
So is that a lot of money anymore? I don't really think it is. I think it's a good deal.
It is.
I mean, yeah, fair, but for the player we've got, the age we've got him, if he doesn't work out. And he doesn't go as well as we think he will, then we're still going to recover quite a bit of that. And he doesn't strike me like the type of, Ndombele who isn't going to be good in the shop window because he's lazy or because his salary is so bloody high and nobody else wants to buy him. So I think it's a pretty low risk player. And also, quite frankly, I'm excited when I watch him. We haven't had many players for a while who have actually been excited when they get on the ball, and you think they're either going to have a decent crack at a shot or they're going to put a good ball in.
Well, let's ask the ultimate critic, Dave. He's very hard to please. Dave, are you happy with this one?
Look, I think so far
have Enoch done good business here?
Oh, hang on a second. So far, I think we're all happy with Bentancur and Kulusevski, right? And we're happy with them in there's a different couple of contexts here. So Kulusevski's up against Bergwijn and Mora, and that's an upgrade, and we can all agree on that, and that's the truth. I mean, when I first saw him when he came on, I was like, he's got no pace whatsoever, but he does remind me a little bit of Chrissy Waddle, which I think HG agrees as well. But Chrissy Waddle had more pace, but it does look like Kulusevski. What he does is he cuts inside. That's his thing. And if a fullback works out to play him on his outside, we'll see what happens there. But he's an upgrade on the two players in that position. But those two players aren't very good. Bentancur looks like a player who's got his foot on the ball. He looks up. He's got a passing range, which is far more than your nemesis Winks. And frankly, he's better than Højbjerg. I'd really looking forward to seeing Skip and Bentancur playing together. Okay. So on that basis, that's fine. But my question was, and I said this on our WhatsApp group this week, is that our director of football, his January window strategy turned out to be whatever inventory Juventus wanted to get off their books because they needed to make way for Vlahovic. We got them in the last week of January. I mean, what a difference it may have made to us if we'd have got them in earlier in the window. And they seemed like our third and fourth choice after Traore and Diaz. So credit that we got them in, but it doesn't seem to be part of a well thought out strategy. But
there's a lot of assumption in that, though.
Go on.
Well, you're just assuming that everything you've read in the press is true.
Well, it's not. Well, I mean, everything we've read in the press is true. Is that okay? So Traore, we were in for him in August, and we were in for him in the first half of January.
No doubt about it, we were in for him. But
we were in for him, and then it turned out that Traore never wanted to play right wing back as he signed for Barcelona. Okay,
well, no, it turned out that he chose Barcelona over Spurs, which you can't really blame him for, can you?
But if we hadn't have messed around in August and the first part of January, we'd have got him. But I don't want Traore. I think he's just raw fox on steroids. He's shit. And someone's sworn already, so our PG rating's gone.
He's done all right at Barca, I have to say.
You love Traore because your dad says he loves Traore. That's why you love Traore, which is fair enough. And then with Diaz's dad was interviewed and said Tottenham were in for him, but they delayed, and in comes Liverpool, and that's where he went. We spend too much time delaying, get the deal done, and off you go. But net.
Go on, Steve. Go on. I know you
disagree with the Diaz one. Diaz one is the agent basically called up Liverpool and went, "This is the offer from Spurs. Match it. He wants to go to Liverpool," and they matched it. So what can we do? Like,
well,
it's
Diaz is okay. I understand that, but Diaz's dad said Tottenham were delaying over it because we're too busy negotiating the add-ons as to whether Diaz buys 5 goldfish from the local fair in the first week or the second week. All right, so we just got to get a move on and do these deals. But net to the squad, we've got 2 players in who are better than the current incumbents in that team. Not hard. But I still think we needed to get. Well, we should have kept the Celso back, and we needed a striker, and we need someone with guile. So
I'd agree of keeping the Celso back. The one thing, and I can't believe I'm being more negative than Dave here because he's the most negative person I've ever met in my life. Bentancur, I like him a lot, but the thing that winds me up about him is he loves a trick either in our box or on the edge of our box. And there's sometimes you've just got to go back to basics, put your foot through it. If in doubt, kick it out. And 2 or 3 times he's been caught. I don't think we've conceded yet from it. But again, against Brighton, he got caught playing around, trying to be clever on the edge of our box. And if Brighton actually had any decent attackers, we probably would have lost a goal. So I think he's very good. I think he's an upgrade. I mean, he's far better than Winks. He has a good pass. He's got really good feet. I like him a lot. But he does worry me when he's on the ball and he's boxed in because you know he's going to try and do something clever. And I don't always like that. It's awesome when it works out and everybody in the stadium applauds and it's great, but it doesn't always work out. And we will lose goals from that.
I'm
I think
sorry,
you're saying
Steve.
sorry, it's like you're talking about if in doubt, kick it out. But the issue is he's not in doubt. That's why he doesn't kick it out. Like I think he always feels
He should be
comfortable
in
no matter
doubt.
the situation, and that will bite him, I'm sure. But that's why he's not doing it. Right? There are some players that do have that composure, and they don't feel the need to just hoof it when they get the chance. We've seen Winks do a number of up and unders this season when he's got the chance. We berated him last season for not doing it against West Ham. So like it's I don't know, but Bentancur will make mistakes. Will all players. But I mean, Dave said it himself. It's right. Like such an improvement on what we had already. That you can't help but there's something silky about what he does. Everything.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I really rate him. I'm very happy we've got him. I think he's an absolute upgrade on us. The only thing that worries me is when he messes about on the edge of our box. And Juventus fans, if like I'm on Reddit a lot, you go into Reddit thread for Juve. The one thing they really disliked about him was him messing about with a ball, trying to be too clever, either in their box or the edge of a box, giving it away, and they concede a goal.
I'd agree. I think part of that's just down to him coming to terms with the pace of the Premier League. He's being dispossessed 1.3, 1.5 times a game or something at the moment, which is high, and it's double what he was achieving at Juventus. So it's definitely something he's got to snap out of his game, particularly in this league. But for what else he brings, I'm happy to take that. It still hasn't led to a goal, and I think his recovery is excellent as well. So I want him to change the way he plays, but he does need to come to grips with the level of player he's up against now.
I mean, net is a positive. I'm really happy I've got him, definitely. But that's just the only thing that worries me. The only thing that worries me about Kulusevski is he runs like he's a giraffe for me. He has a really weird running style. I haven't quite worked it out yet.
I mean,
I agree with Dawson's comment as well that Kulusevski, I think, if we're worried about him being found out and defenders starting to play him on the inside, that he could drop into the midfield of a midfield three, get more of the ball, and I'd be much more comfortable with him being the one progressing it down the middle and being that creative outlet that we need.
Well, I've got to tell you, Leeds have just equalised 2-2. They've come back from 2-0 down. Wolves have got a man sent off, just equalised.
Oh, dear.
Spoiler alert. Thanks, caller.
Such a sloppy goal as well. Sorry, I thought our viewers might want to know.
I played free hit in Fantasy League this week. It's not looking good.
Well, it's not looking good for me because I've not looked at the league all year, really. Just set my team off and off I go. All these positive words about Kulusevski, but he missed this very simple one-on-one, didn't he, HG? Basic, wasn't it?
I mean, it was one of those times where you get to see, okay, how good is this player? Because the one-on-one chance kind of tells you a lot about, whether you think that they're good enough under pressure. And I thought he was going to bury it, and so when he didn't, I was kind of surprised. I saw one of the comments said that he telegraphed it a little bit, that he was clearly going to place it one side, and that's possibly true. But I guess it doesn't matter now. But at the time, I was thinking, these guilt-edged chances that you miss, because we've missed a couple. Obviously, the Kane one that we talked about, and then Kulusevski. As a Spurs fan, you do always worry that at some point Brighton will get a set piece, and it'll be like Burnley game again. We had chances at Burnley, we didn't take them, and then they get the winner. But to be again, I think it's probably more important that we were able to even work the ball into space, that he get these one-on-one chances, because for a long time Spurs just haven't been able to do that, and now we're getting a number of players in positions to have really good chances.
I will say this was a highlight. Did you see it? Where he was just outside the frontier, he smashed it towards the goal. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? That was very amusing. So, that was it. Half-time, 1-0. Fairly boring game. Could have been 3-0 up, couldn't we, JP? Relieved to get in at 1-0. And now we get Spurs.
No. I was disappointed that it was only one, really. I think Kane's chance, Kulusevski's chance, we really should have put the game to bed. And I think that's the thing that's been killing us all season. So I wasn't relieved. I was nervous about what the second half was going to bring. It had 1-1 written all over it for me at that point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, second half, Brighton came out and looked strong, and then someone got booked. Dave, can you remember who it was?
Was it Romero?
Of course it was Romero. Did anyone have Romero as a bet to get booked? I'm going to look at what the odds are against West Ham.
Did anybody not?
He's going to get booked, isn't he? I mean, give me the money. Easy, isn't it? He's got to cut that out of his game, hasn't he, Dave? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the player and I think he's made an enormous difference to our defence, but he gets booked nearly every game.
Oh, look, I was on the pod this week reviewing the game, and anyone watching tonight should listen to the pod as well. Not because I'm on it. I'm not often on it. It's better when I'm not on it. When I'm not on it. You're right. Okay. And,
You're selling it well.
Well, Steve, you said before that you're being more negative than me. Your attempts at being negative was frankly amateurish. You could do a lot better being negative. Offline, I'll give you a few lessons on being negative. All right.
If you be my teacher,
I'm happy to be your Yoda of negativity. So basically, Romero, I'm going to be. Oh, that's nice.
What was that? Did anyone see that?
I did see that. It's one of Steve's posh friends has got his kit off. Look, Romero, he's very impetuous. Okay. On the plus side, I think he is probably our best defender, but that's not hard. And as Seb Short said on the Slack chat this week, he's been our best. He's our best defender. He's our best defender, our best signing the last 12 months. Again, that's not hard either. So he's a good defender. He's very good on the ball. He's good going forward. He had a great game against City, but he does get done on set pieces crosses, like we saw at Burnley and I think United and the Ronaldo goal. And his indiscipline means what I'm worried about is that when David Dean and the FA finally collude as to when we're going to play Arsenal, that he's going to be ruled out. So he's a good player, but he needs to cut out getting the yellow cards. He got a load in Serie A, but we need to work on that because who's going to replace him? Davison Sanchez? No thanks.
Well, we've got an expert on the pod. HG's been doing his research. HG, what are all the permutations of when Romero gets suspended then? 8 bookings now, I believe.
Look, if it's 8, I mean, he needs 10. I think 10 before game 32 to get a 2-match suspension for it. So if he gets to game 32, whenever that is that what 3 games away, 4 games away? Then the two, whatever. If he gets to 10 after that, it won't matter. So if the Arsenal game is the last week of the season, which it looks like it might be, then the only way he'll probably miss that is if he gets sent off in the game before, or the game before that if it's a really bad one. So yeah, we're nervous because if he goes at the rate he's going, then he'll get those 2 bookings in the next 3-4 games, and he'll end up missing 2 games. But if they do push Arsenal to the end of the season, which it looks like they're going to, they don't really have much choice, then hopefully Romero should be okay. But yeah, I think it's 10 bookings before the end of game 32.
So according to my run sheet, it can only be afforded to be booked once in the next 4 games, or he'll get a 2-match ban.
Okay, that would mean he's on 9. But if he's on 8, then he needs 2 more.
2 more, okay. So 2 in 4, basically, every other game. So
yeah, but the thing is, he could get 2 against West Ham on Sunday. He'll get 2, and then he'll be out for a game anyway. So yeah, it's because some of them are avoidable, right? Some of those yellows he's been in the wrong place and deliberately,
or kicking off,
Yeah, exactly. And then you get the one against Richarlison, which was a clear yellow. It was a little bit unfortunate, the one against Brighton, because he is trying to clear the ball. He's not trying to kick the player. But yeah, when you go to ground like that and you don't get the ball, when you do get the player, then these days that is a yellow card. When we were young, when all of us were young, that's a foul, and you just get up and you continue the game. It was never a yellow card, really. Yeah. But that's Romero's reputation will precede him now. He'll get yellows for silly little things that don't deserve it. But I hope that he can rein it in, because he's a fantastic defender.
When Dave was young, there wasn't even a card system. I think
black and white, wasn't it? You couldn't tell.
I played in black and white with Flat Cat and Rattles. But just a quick question for JP. Romero, he causes a lot of biffo on the pitch, doesn't he?
A what?
Biffo.
What's biffo? What's that mean?
Is he trying to prove he's Aussie now, or?
I don't know.
He's pulling out all his best slang. Yeah.
He is.
Well,
No, he
Dave
does
is the
create-
archetypal bogan.
I will correct you. He does create a bit of biff on the pitch, but yeah, sure, biffo.
Bit of biff, mate.
I will say, I was just looking up his stats then. Incredibly, throughout his career, he's averaged 2 fouls a game. At Tottenham, he's halved that to 1, and he still drives up as many yellow cards as he does.
That is quite an incredible stat. So he gets booked nearly every challenge.
Every time he doesn't get a challenge right, he's getting booked.
Which, John, that's what I said, John. Like, listen, 32 games. At the end of game 32, if he has 10 bookings by then, my gosh, these people, all they have to do is listen, and they can't even do that right.
HG, John's too tired after pumping his tyre up. He can't listen right now.
Yeah, give John a bit of slack. You told you're very hormonal today. Calm down.
Well, if he's going to come on and say I'm wrong, he needs to listen more. It's like when you said we beat Ipswich 3-1 and then denied it.
I didn't. It's 3-0. Go back and watch
it. It was 3-0, but you said 3-1.
I didn't. You can
You
go
did?
back and watch the show. You can go back. I've been back and rewatched it. I'm going to go back and clip it now.
Mm-hmm.
I have. Yeah. Anyway.
And that's what we're doing now. Biffo on the cheese ring.
Yeah, it's very apt.
All right. Who liked Kane's Coke volley then? That was quality, wasn't it, JP? Could you do that? The real thing?
No, I couldn't. Best bit of skill he'd shown all game, though. It was brilliant.
It was good, wasn't it? Well, Bentancur obviously played that ball through and side-footed it past the keeper.
Wasn't a great ball.
Well, all right, I was exaggerating, but
Heavy ball.
A lovely finish, wasn't it, Steve?
Yeah, it was a good finish.
Kane doing what Kane does.
What, scoring away? Yeah.
And I'm not sure if the stats are in the run sheet, but he's now got more away goals than any other striker in the Premier League history. Dave, how silly do you feel? So, having said that, we should have sold him in the summer.
Well, he's got more goals. Hasn't he beaten Rooney's record? Is that right?
No, he's speaking. That as well.
Yeah, Rooney was always good at playing away from home. Anyway, so how silly do I feel? Well, he's had his worst season in years for us in terms of stats, you know, we've carried this massive risk all season of not having a second striker, and I argued last summer that we should sell, and that's the time that Paratici had just come in. So I was saying, let's sell, get the best price for him possible, invest in 2 strikers and maybe other parts of the pitch, reboot, and move on. So at times, I think Kane this season has looked thoroughly disinterested, and at other times he's looked motivated. And we don't get 4th. And as I said on the pod this week, Gary Neville will be booking Royal Sandringham and 18 holes with Harold Kane and convivial conversation.
Does Steve?
But did we receive an offer you would have been happy of us accepting for Kane? It's all very well and good saying we should have sold him, but if nobody was going to pay a decent amount of money, then what's the point in even discussing it? Because, you know, the bid that allegedly, if you believe the papers, came in from City was pretty low.
Yeah.
Well, that's the point I said at the start of the sentence, which was if we'd have got a decent offer in, and as I argued in the summer, well, that's correct. We didn't get. If we'd have got 120, 150 range, I'd have sold him, right?
Well, we
that's
didn't.
But at the time, that's what I was arguing, and at the time, that was before the end of the transfer window. So I couldn't make myself go backwards and forwards in time in my DeLorean. Sorry about that. It wasn't working.
139 appearances, 95 goals. What a record, HG.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, we've all seen it. Yeah, Shearer's is poor for considering away from home. Yeah, Shearer's was poor, but I mean, 95? I mean, it's one every 1.5 games. I mean, it's incredible, absolutely incredible, and to do it for Spurs, right? I mean, like even though we were good for a season and a half, we haven't been great for most of that time. but he just always finds a way. Left, right foot headers, he can do it all.
But remember, HG, if you listen to our rivals, all his goals are from penalties, apparently.
Yeah. Has he had a penalty this season? Maybe one?
He's definitely had a couple. Well, he had one against United, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think that's the only one because Delhi got the other one we had this season and scored it up at Wolves. I don't
You might
remember
well
any
be
others
right,
in the
actually. You
league.
might be right.
But I don't know.
The question I want to get to is this what's he worth though? I mean, here you go. So, Dave, what do you think he's worth with 2 years left on his contract? Given that you want to sell him
In this market, 75 to 80 million.
JP, do you want to come back on that?
Yeah.
Do you want to start a bit? Do you want to call him a drongo?
All right. He's not the 150 to 200 million player that Levy thinks he is, but he's not less than 100. Lukaku still went for 100 last season, and if Harry Kane is worth less than Lukaku, I don't know what this market is. Harry Kane is still a 120 million pound player with 2 years left on his contract. Particularly to, and this is the argument I get in a lot, is even when Harry Kane was at his peak, he might have been worth 100, 120 to another club, but to Tottenham, he was worth 200 million. That's almost exacerbated more now with the situation we find ourselves in with kind of the manager merry-go-round we've gone through. If you lose Kane, that's a massive flow-on effect to the rest of the squad and the manager. I don't think we can afford to sell him, and therefore his value to Levy is probably 200 million still. But in terms of his market rate, I'd say 100, 120.
I think yeah, go on, Steve. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think one really good thing about Kane that could keep his value quite high for a while is that he doesn't have pace, so he can't rely on it. You know, like I think we're going to see him drop further and further back throughout his later stages of his career.
If he drops any further back, he'd be a centre back.
Well, Romero was playing centre forward at some points for us, if you look at his bloody heat map. But yeah, I think Kane isn't a player who relies on pace, so he's got a lot of time left in the league, or whichever league he finishes up his career in. Yeah, so I think that's going to hold his value up quite high.
He'll be 35 and still putting up 15 goals a season, I reckon.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
and creating the same. Like he's one of the best creators in the league. Let's face it.
Yeah,
if
his
you look
passing
at what
ability is phenomenal.
If you look at what Rooney did later in his career, dropping back further, I think Kane has even more ability to do that, given his passing range. And I think what we've seen recently, particularly in the last couple of months, is his ability to pick the ball up and drive through the centre of midfield, which wasn't necessarily something we saw of him in seasons gone past, where he's getting it 2 touches and then looking for a pass straight away. But he's holding onto the ball and moving it further a lot better than I've seen him do in the past as well.
Yeah, I know that everyone wants to blame everything on Jose Mourinho, but he did kind of more introduce the concept of Kane dropping deeper and feeding in Son last year. That was a Mourinho thing. And I think that, I think JP makes a very good point. This summer, more this summer than last summer, is that if we sell Kane, then that's the perfect excuse for Conte to walk. And if Conte walks, we're left in a situation where we've got nowhere else to go from a managerial point of view. So
you'll be in dreamland because it'll put all the focus back on the owners and how shit we are.
Yeah, but Caller, I know you like to think I'm some kind of Spurs ambulance chaser. That I'm only happy when things are going wrong. I mean, but why would I support and love something since 19? Well, hang on.
Me that thinks that.
Huh?
It's not just me that thinks that. Stockholm syndrome. That's why.
Stock Aitken and Waterman syndrome. Good. But at the end of the day, why would I love something since 1977? Just after Elvis had his last shit, and then why and like be happy when we're when Lucas Moura's ball trickled over the goal line in Amsterdam, I raced out to that balcony and scared the local hospital because a nutter was going mad that we'd fucking got to the semi-finals of the Champions League. So it's just nonsense that I've got some kind of wish. I don't like our owners. That's very clear, and we're not going down that path well trodden again. I don't like our owners. I think they're shit, and I'd like them to sell up. And I'm looking at this from the point of view of we have sold star players before and rebuilt. So HG's first season, I think, was 92, 93. Gazza and Lineker went that summer. We got in Anderton. We got in Sheringham. Barnby came through the ranks, and we got to the semi-final of the FA Cup, and we played good football that year. I think we got Dean Austin in as well, HG's first hero. So the concept of selling a star player and getting other players and doing it wisely, because we had Venables there, is not alien. But unfortunately, our recruitment policy over the last few years has not been terribly good. So no, I'll put my ambulance back in the depot for another time.
So you're saying that signing the unproven Darren Anderton, who had never played Premier League football before, was a good thing for Spurs to do back in '92, and you'd like to see something similar done this summer?
Well, that's the Darren Anderton who took Portsmouth to an FA Cup semi-final the year before, and I think they went out on penalties. So he played against opposition. He was seen as a very promising young player in the lower league.
So we'll buy someone from Middlesbrough because they've beat both Man United and Spurs this season, and that would be a good enough replacement for Kane. Is that what you're saying?
Or we buy Teddy Sheringham, who'd scored 20-odd goals for Forest the season before. We got him in after the first bid of $2 million.
But it was at the end. It was in the end of August. He'd already played a game for Forest, so we didn't buy him in June, did we? So I don't know what you're saying, Dave. It doesn't really make any sense. Do you want players bought at the end of August, or do you want them bought in June?
I'd like them all bought in June, but in the instances of someone like Teddy Sheringham coming in, when we had to go up by 100,000 in the bid, I wonder why. That we got the 2.1 million and he came, and So I'm saying the concept of selling a very good player and funding for other players, we've done it before, and sometimes we've been good at doing it. Unfortunately, we sold Chris Waddle for $4.5 million and got in Steve Sedgley. That's another story.
Absolutely.
Given we're now renewing season tickets a month early, I'm confident we'll buy players a month early. Is that risky for the pod?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Whoa, slow down there, Steve. That was slightly anti-Enoch. You cut that drinking out, young man, and the naked men cavorting in your living room.
Listen, just before we can have all this lovely debate and banter, and I admire your candor, Dave. But should we have had another one just before the final whistle? JP, Kane got hacked, didn't he, in the penalty area? Why was that not a penalty?
I wouldn't go as far as hacked, but there was a foot in the way, and yes, it should have been a penalty. I don't like seeing them against us like that, so I can't complain that they didn't get given, but we've seen that many softer ones go against us that absolutely it's a penalty. The fact that VAR took a look at it and then didn't overturn the decision is a farce. So yeah, it should have been another one. It should have been more comfortable than it was.
I agree. The one takeout from the game, Steve, Reggie had a couple of opportunities, fired both at the keeper, but is it a bit of a concern that he's not converting more, given the positions he's getting himself in?
Yeah, and he started off pretty well, didn't he? Like in his Spurs career, maybe not converting goals, obviously, but in terms of putting a good crossover and making a good decision. And that seems to have gone. And I don't know whether it's lack of play now that he's rotating a bit or what. But yeah, bit of a concern. He could have and should have at least scored one.
Okay. And then just in terms of substitutions, Bergwijn didn't exactly get much of an opportunity to impress again, did he, HG? HG? Oh, someone done something to HG.
I've always wondered that.
He's back.
He's back. He's back in the room. HG, can you hear me?
Yep.
I was just saying, Steven Bergwijn didn't really have ample time to impress, did he?
Well, no, but when does he? I mean, that's not really a surprise. Like, I'm a bit frustrated that Lucas seems to be ahead of Bergwijn now, because I think Bergwijn's a much better player, and I think he suits the system much more. But like, if he's not going to get chances and we win, I guess I don't really care. All I care about is the victory. So, I'd like to see Bergwijn stick around, but I think if I'm Bergwijn, I might be looking to move on in the summer, just because he'll want to play. I imagine he'll want to play. So but I would. He's still what 24. I think that there's improvement there from him. I really would like to keep him around, but I guess it will be if he's seen as being a player that we could sell and bring some money in, then maybe we'll do that. But I don't want him to go.
I'd just like to say there's like 40-something likes and 170 odd people watching the show. So please,
do we need to get the naked man back? I mean,
we will get the naked man back if we don't hit.
If we don't get 100 likes, we'll get the naked man back.
Absolutely, 100%. So please do hit the like button. Save us that site. Save yourselves. Save everybody. Sonny had another game where he was not at it really. HG, what's your theory as to why Sonny's been dipping this season?
Well, no, I don't think it's a this season thing. I mean, obviously at the start of the season he was doing pretty well. I mean, he's got 11 goals. I think Kane's now got 12. He's ahead of him. But yeah, for the first half of the season, Sonny was the guy, and probably since Conte came in, then Kane has been the person. But I've said plenty of times on these shows, I don't think he really suits the 3-4-3. I don't think he wants to have the ball. Get the ball with his back to goal, which is what the system kind of needs. He doesn't look comfortable. So yeah, I'm not surprised to see him play badly because I just don't think it really works for him yet. I mean, he could learn it, but it's just not a natural thing. And so yeah, I don't see Son doing much more in games apart from maybe getting on the end of crosses, which is still good enough. You want to see him score, but his overall contribution isn't great. But I think there are reasons as to why, and I've said that's the same for lots of players. Doherty doesn't work in a back four. We know that. Sessegnon doesn't really work in a back four either, and we know that. So it doesn't surprise me that the same can be true of Son. Doesn't make him a terrible player. Just that's the situation we're in.
I think Son's I don't think Son's doing as badly as a lot of people think as well. Like his end product is down on what we expect from him at the moment, but across the season, his XG is on track to pass, his best ever. Expect assists as well. His shots per 90 are up near around where we see him every match. His key passes are near on his best for a season. So it's more just that he's not finishing the opportunities we expect him to finish, and therefore the eye test says he's struggling for confidence and form. But I think his all-around play has been fine. It's just some of those little bits he's going through a bit of a rush.
Interesting. Well, 2-0 it finished. There's the XG. If you can remove that comment for a minute, Dave. Brighton 1, Tottenham 2. Interestingly, Kane's XG was 0.94, so clearly not completely reliant on Harry Kane. Fair summary would be to say we beat an out-of-form Brighton team, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, we're following our Cambridge Analytica algorithm, win-lose. And, they're two very slow centre-backs, so that's something that Kane enjoyed playing against. But, I think we can all... What's the score?
Leeds just scored.
Leeds just scored, yeah.
Oh, bloody hell, I got a Wolves goalie and a Wolves defender. Fuck. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, look, it was a perfunctory win. We got to at this end, at the business end of the season, as they called it. We just need to get wins on the board, and that's that. It wasn't that exciting, but there was enough to watch that got us excited and various bits of it. So we move on now to our friends from East London.
We do indeed. Before we come to that, there's the table. So level on points with the Caravan Club. Despite we played a game less. So we look ahead to that fixture. 4:30, I'll be there. Very happy about being there. I always like West Ham. Steve, you're missing for this one, aren't you?
I am. I've foolishly given my tickets away.
Not to me.
So, no, not to you. So one of the guys who sits next to us is taking some clients from Dubai, Singapore, somewhere. We've done a swap, so gutted to miss it.
It's not Forest Lee, is it, Steve?
Don't get the joke, but sure. Don't know where Forest Lee is or what it is, but
Forest Lee is a billionaire from Singapore who
who's rumored to be buying us? No, No,
who Levy has entertained at the stadium and the training ground?
no, not that person. Not that level. No, so I won't be there, but I'll be watching it on TV.
What did you swap it for then, Steve?
2 upcoming games. Don't know what yet. So we get 2 for the price of 1.
So you've done a great deal there, because West Ham at home is one of the highlights of the season for all of us. So I'm just interested to know your logic and thinking.
I get 2 games. He gets 1 game. That's my logic.
Right. Okay.
And also, I'm a nice guy.
That's pretty good logic. I do the same thing. 2 games of Spurs for 1. Yeah, I absolutely do that. Why not?
Okay.
And also,
Go on.
Come on.
Go on.
The joke you're missing is clearly only go there for the food and drink. So I get 2 dinners and I give up 1. So
I can't think why I'd be thinking that. I've no idea.
no
Right,
comment.
let's move on, you two. Head-to-head record. There we go. So a little bit up and down, really. It's quite level, isn't it, over the last few seasons? 2019, they scored the first goal in the stadium, the new stadium.
First team to beat us, wasn't he?
Well, and the first goal conceded, I believe, wasn't it? And they printed a T-shirt with that fact on it. And there's a home record. So more often than not, a decent result, but a bit patchy recently. Yeah. Look forward to this one, don't you, HG?
I do, because I hate West Ham, and I'd love to see us beat them. Hopefully, they're super tired after what they did against Sevilla last night. But it's the biggest game of their season, even though they're now in the Europa League quarterfinals. Playing Spurs is still the biggest game of their season because they hate us so much because they have got inferiority complex. I said that wrong. Inferiority complex. Yeah, I'm as drunk as Steve.
Not an English teacher, eh?
No. As if I use the words like inferiority to a bunch of 11-year-olds. Come on now. I look forward to the game because I hope that we beat them because I really like watching them crash and burn.
And Dave, no, in fact, you've spoken enough lately. JP, come to you next. On the back of their cup final victory against Sevilla. Sorry, I mean their what I meant to say was their quarterfinal. Was it a quarterfinal? It wasn't even a quarterfinal, was it?
No, they're in the quarterfinals now.
They're in the quarterfinals. Do you know what I mean? Were they not celebrating it like they won it?
You wouldn't know the difference based on the celebrations on Twitter, would you? You'd think that they just won the Champions League final, but give it to them. This is the best that they've seen. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, does that give us a great chance? They went into extra time. They went deep. I'm going to grab a gin while you're debating this. So throw this around, guys. They went deep into injury time, and I think the reality is surely this is a good opportunity for us to take 3 points, isn't it?
This is an excellent opportunity for us to take 3 points because we're playing West Ham. It's got nothing to do with who they played. We're playing West Ham. Let's go and take 3 points off them. My only concern is our current form of win one, lose one. So we're due a loss right now as well.
Yeah, I wonder what would that mean for the rest of the season. Obviously, we can't lose. So, it's probably we're probably due another draw, right? Because we can't lose to all the teams around us. Can you imagine if we win all of the games for the rest of the season, but we lose against United, West Ham, and Arsenal? It won't be good. So we've got to win this one. We're at home. You'd imagine it's going to be a pretty good atmosphere because lots of people don't like West Ham. It's not just me.
It's a little bit.
It's sorry.
I was going to say it's a little bit last chance saloon as well for that 4th spot. I think if we lose this one, we've lost too many games around us, and we're not addressing that up and down form quick enough to come into those key matches. Well, that key match against Arsenal whenever it gets rescheduled to.
I mean, to me, I still think Arsenal are the ones that we have to worry about the most. Man United could put a run together. I do believe that. The same is true of even West Ham. Yes, they'll have the Europa League, but we know they're good enough to win 5 or 6 games of their last 8 or 9, which could be enough. So I want to. Spurs have nothing else to worry about than this now. We're going to have what is it 1 week now between the end of the season where we have a midweek game, and that'll be the Arsenal one. So you have to hope that Spurs will realise it's a massive deal, and it's always massive against West Ham, but this year especially.
Look, I think their surprising European run has certainly put a cat amongst the pigeons, as far as I'm concerned. And I think that we've got to win this one. This is a must-win. And a point I didn't make before when we were all eulogising about Harold Kane, apart from City away, which I thought was a shop window display, in the kind of the crucial games where we really needed him to deliver this season and over the last couple of years, he hasn't. So he's really got to deliver this weekend against West Ham. It was a good result for us against Sevilla, from the point of view of they carry on into this never-ending tournament. They're now into the quarterfinals in March. They went into extra time. They've got injuries. I don't think Bowen's going to play. And West Ham absolutely hate us. They'll be singing all their lovely songs, goose stepping up the high road on Sunday. And we need to end this win-loss. So we've got to beat them. This is a must-win. If we don't beat them, then we can kiss fourth goodbye. In any event, fourth is still tough.
HG?
Nothing. Top four will get Champions League, guaranteed. There's no way that can't happen now. Because the only way it could is if Man United won the Champions League and they're out. So, the top four will get Champions League, guaranteed.
And if they won the Europa League, we have 5 teams in it.
Yeah, if they win the Europa League, we'd have 5 teams in it. But the top 4 in the league will get, actually, no, that's weird. No, if West Ham finish 4th and win the Europa League, then you might only have 4. Yeah, you probably would only have 4. So that's a weird one. But I guess I haven't really thought about West Ham actually finishing 4th. I don't expect them to do it, but
I don't expect them to win it or finish 4th, to be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. But right now, if West Ham it doesn't, the only way that that 4th traditionally would miss out is if the Europa League winners and the Champions League winners both finished outside of the top 4 and qualified that way. But because Man United are out now, it's extremely unlikely, I suppose.
It does appear that our viewers want lots of naked men dancing around Steve's living room because there's still only 60-something likes, 180 people watching. Steve, can you fire up the naked man?
Well, we've got a few people here as well, a few women as well. So maybe that will get some more likes.
This is not OnlyFans, Steve. Calm down. He's getting very excited there, bless him. So do please hit the like button. Thank you very much. HG, no Eric Lamela, I noticed. It might shock you to know he's been out for 4 months now, injured.
Yeah, it might shock me. It doesn't. I don't want him injured, right? I mean, I don't think he's any good, but I don't want him injured. But it's not surprising to me that what was a pretty simple injury is suddenly 4 months later and he's still not back. I think John said in our little WhatsApp chat that he'd counted how many games he's missed. It's like the last 26 now for Sevilla. So to be fair for Lamela, that's not a bad record. He's doing pretty well. He was fit for 3 months of the season. Sevilla have got a pretty good deal.
Well, our team news ahead of the game. Skip Sessegnon and Tanganga out. Tanganga ruled out for the season now, sadly. West Ham just Bowen, apparently, unless any of you guys have got any other information on that. I'll take the blank look as no. How do we expect West Ham to line up then, Dave?
I don't know, really, how they always line up. That's more of a question for HG. He's more the statter.
HG,
I do
expecting West Ham to line up. I know. I deliberately threw it to you, Dave.
No, you got to remember, my department is ENIC and nostalgia. I don't do anything else.
HG.
Like whatever I say, they'll probably do the opposite. But I would expect them to go 4-2-3-1 because I think that is the best formation for them. I know they've played with 3 centre halves at times this season, but I think that they've got decent attacking options. So if Antonio's fit, they'll have Benrahma, Yarmolenko, Lanzini, Fornals. There's a whole. I've probably forgotten one as well. Bowen, if he was fit, would be there. So they've got attacking options behind Antonio. If Antonio was out, then that would be much better because they do need that focal point. But I think West Ham's best formation this season has been playing 4-2-3-1, and I expect to see that again.
Well, I think it's fair to point out at this point the RSPCA has said it's going to start prosecution proceedings against Kurt Zouma and his brother for their roles in filming Kurt kicking a cat. It's understood that Zouma was wanted by a number of teams when he left Chelsea, but was swayed by West Ham's theme tune of "I'm forever kicking tiddles."
Very good, that.
He was still picked to play last night. Is it right now he's been charged, Steve? Is that right that he's been charged by the police for animal abuse, and yet he's still allowed to play? It doesn't seem right to me. Surely, if that was a crime against a human of a similar nature, assault or something, he wouldn't be playing.
I mean, first off, as much as I love cats, cats aren't humans, so I'm not quite sure you can directly correlate them. I honestly don't know what he has or has not been charged with, to be fair. And what he did was awful. Like, love cats, got a cat. But do I?
I forgot that joke. Well done.
Do I think he should be banned from playing football? No, I don't. And when you look at what other footballers do and still get away with it, no, I think it's awful what he did. I think he should be prosecuted. Absolutely, but I think he should be banned from playing football.
Well, the left back for Man City, the opening game of the season, was on bail at the time. And that's a massive public record before the cheese room lawyers start to panic. But that's the truth. So he was on remand. What's his face? He played for Sunderland. He still played whilst he was waiting the outcome of his trial. So the kind of premise is that I did a law degree. What's the expression? You're guilty.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, that's it. That's why I never furthered a career in the whole thing. Well done.
If that was the contents of your law degree, I'm a bit worried.
You should be.
Our record hasn't been the best against them. You could say it's been quite poor.
Hey.
Danger men for them. Declan Rice springs to mind. JP, how good is Declan Rice?
I don't pay much attention to him because he plays for West Ham, and that's about it as far as I'm concerned. When I have seen him play, he's very good at controlling the tempo of games, and so I think that's something. If he was to come over and play for Spurs, I'd be more than happy to sit him next to Bentancur. I think that would be an upgrade, but I'm not worried about him controlling or being the danger man for us against. For them against us, I'm more concerned about them sitting deep, being able to marshal their defense well, and then Antonio being the one that damages us on the counter.
Yeah. HG, what's your opinion on Rice?
Well, I eat it quite a lot.
Oh
yeah. I love Declan Rice, and I genuinely think he's the best English midfielder we've seen probably since Gerrard. And I really, really rated Gerrard. I thought Gerrard was much better than Lampard.
Yeah.
So Declan Rice, now that he's starting to add goals, like there was the cup game at Kidderminster, right? Where West Ham were 1-0 down, a lot of going out, and Rice came on and basically, granted, it's still Kidderminster, but he was the one who went out and scored the goal and got them back in the tie, and they went on to win. I think he's approaching those levels now. It's weird because I think it was nailed on that he was going to go to Chelsea. Because Chelsea's midfield with Kante and Jorginho is not the youngest. That I thought he would go there this summer, but who knows what will happen now. But I still think that Rice to Chelsea is almost certainly going to happen. His best mate's Mason Mount. He's going to play the next 5-6 years for England, guaranteed as far as I'm concerned. He's a brilliant midfielder, and he's far too good for West Ham. So hopefully it will be the end of their great run, because West Ham won't be able to keep their better players. As much as Moyes has done a really good job, Rice is the one that really kind of holds it together. And I suspect that when he does go, which he will, that West Ham won't be able to replace him with whatever money they have. They won't be able to replace him.
Antonio, great record against us, sadly, Steve, including that goal in the 2019 danger man for them. Are you worried about him?
Yep. Always plays well against us, and I think he's a good player. Yeah, I think Romero can handle him. But I think somebody said in the chat, or somebody maybe said in the show about set pieces, West Ham, they are dangerous at. And we look weak at set pieces, and Romero looks helpless at set pieces, which will never quite work out because Romero looks quality until it's a corner or a free kick, and he's all over the show. He can't mark anybody. So yeah, I'm a bit worried about them, but yeah, I think we can still do him over. And also, it's amazing we found somebody in the chat who's more drunk than I am, which is very surprising. So hello, Mandeezy.
Okay. Souček and Dawson set pieces. Dave, worried about our set pieces, set piece defence.
Yeah, look. Before we talk about set pieces defence, I don't know if you've heard, caller, but the West Ham team's Christmas Panto bonding trip's been cancelled. They were going to go and see Puss in Boots. Yeah, look, they're good at set pieces. They're good
so
at
bad, it's good.
They're good at taking a set piece. We're not. They're good at taking set pieces. We're not very good at defending set pieces. So putting that into another algorithm, it doesn't look good. So we need to be better at doing that, and Romero needs to improve on that. That's a weakness in his game.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we would be helped if Lloris came out of his goal more often and took some crosses, because he does it okay. But I've always thought that he likes to stay close to his line a bit too much.
He does.
And so I understand that keepers get caught out all the time. The Ajax keeper got caught out trying to come for a cross and didn't get it, and they went out of the Champions League. So it's a dangerous game when you do it, but it would take a lot of pressure off the centre backs. If we are struggling in that area, that the keeper comes and claims as much as possible.
Well, the West Ham fans don't like us very much, generally speaking, do they? In fact, you could say they've often got their claws out for us. But one man we have to admire, David Moyes, done a cracking job there, as much as it pains me to admit it, JP.
Yeah, he's done an excellent job. It's been fantastic. I'm somewhat happy for David Moyes. I thought the United job was always going to be a poison chalice, and it doesn't always work out for British managers going over to Spain. So to see his reputation get somewhat restored, it's a little. I had a soft spot for him at Everton, so I'm glad to see it happen.
A soft spot for him? Why?
Probably the Australian connection with Timmy Cahill. So.
That is a loose connection.
That is as tenuous as saying when Russell Crowe's nominated for an Oscar, he's a Kiwi, he's not an Aussie. So come on, really?
Well,
it's tenuous to say you're an Aussie, Davey.
Is it as tenuous to say you like David Moyes because he had an Aussie player in his team? Come on, that's tenuous.
No, Aussie players don't tend to get the love of managers when they go overseas, and they tend to be dropped as soon as they have a poor performance. And Moyes stuck by Cahill, so
even when he was shit. Yeah,
even when he was shit. So a little bit of respect goes to David Moyes.
To be fair, Everton are shit. So,
well, that must mean you love. That must mean you love David O'Leary because he loved Viduka and Kuehl.
Yep, 100%.
There you go.
So there we go.
Doesn't extend everywhere.
If you're a Premier League manager, your name's David, and you've employed an Aussie, you're all good with JP.
He has a type.
100%. Well, the question is, guys, can we stop the win-loss run? Let's take some score predictions off you, Dave. How's it going to go?
I'm going to do HG over again. 2-1 Tottenham.
Lovely. Scorers? Do you want to predict the scorers while we're here?
Kane shows up for once and gets 2 goals. I've made him captain in my fantasy league team, so he's got to do it. I've had a shocking night with Wolves.
HG?
3-1 Spurs.
Oh, that is confidence.
It'll be a nail biter, but 3-1 Spurs. We'll try and throw it away.
That third goal's not going in until like the 95th minute, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. JP,
You'd have left by them, by the way, caller.
100%. Yeah.
We've got it.
JP,
I'm going to outdo you, Cole. I'm going to go 4-1 Spurs.
what?
Yeah, I'm
And
feeling good.
Stevie.
2-1 to somebody.
Yeah. It's a Spurs show, so look, I've got.
I'm not confident.
Spurs
We
win.
don't do well against West Ham at home, and it's their big game.
Yeah.
But didn't we beat them in December? Yeah, we beat them in the Carabao.
Yeah, we did. I mean, does that
We
count?
did.
Carabao?
Of course it does. It's still West Ham. I mean, it's not West Ham kids, is it?
Wow.
To be fair, they put a good team out. They did put a good team out.
Look, West Ham have the capability to beat us. Absolutely. You know, they proved it in front of Kohler last season when Antonio scored. Was that last season? Year before? No, last season was the 3-3. But no, Spurs are good enough to win. We were good enough to beat Brighton. It's going to be a tougher game, but I do think we'll beat them. Yeah.
Actually, sorry, hold on. Is Shan going to the game?
That's a very good point. She's not.
2-1 Spurs.
Yeah, I'll go. I'll have some of that. Let's talk birthdays. Apparently, we missed one the other day. I can't believe we actually missed this one. Sandro, friend of the Cheese Room, turned 33 on Tuesday. Brendan was even watching on Monday in the chat, and he didn't let us know. Can you believe that?
I don't think we missed it. I'm pretty certain we said his name, or you guys said his name. I wasn't even on the show.
Oh, I think we did miss it.
Maybe it was the Tottenham on tour one I did, and they talked about it. That maybe I'm confusing it with that.
There we go. HG's new mates, Tottenham on tour. I watched HG on Tottenham on tour the other night. He was very good. It was a very good show. But it was like when your kid goes to another parent's house and they're on their best behaviour, and there he was. Oh, after you. No, after you. I respect your opinion.
Does that in here, elbows out and all.
No.
That's, to be fair, Dave, you said the key part there. I respect their opinion.
Sandro, 106 games. How many goals is the question? You can play along in the chat. Let's go around the room. Come on then, Dave. How many goals do you think Sandro scored for us?
5.
5, HG.
Yeah, I was thinking like 6.
JP?
8.
8. Stevie?
So what have we got? We got 5, 6, 8.
106 games.
Let's go 7.
No, only 3 goals. So a pretty poor return.
So you've got Chelsea away.
Can you name who they were against?
Yeah, Chelsea away, Man United at home, and Fulham away, right?
My God, the man's a machine. Look at him. Who needs Stato when we've got HG? And he's
still got the guess wrong.
His picture is adorning the bar. He did get the guess wrong, yeah.
You knew every game he scored in, and you still got it wrong.
No. When you said there were 3, those are the 3 I remember. But that doesn't mean they were the only ones he did. I mean, it does in this case, but that doesn't mean. That...
Well, listen, we've got another birthday today. P. Luigi Galini's birthday today. Can you believe? Dave, how impressed with Galini have you been?
I've listened to all of his back catalogue on Spotify, and he's a great grime or rap hip hop artist as a goalkeeper. Yeah,
that's true. Other birthdays yesterday was Fazio's birthday. Federico Fazio, 35 years old. What a player he was. And Danny Murphy's birthday.
Sorry, can I jump in there?
You can.
Perfect one for Dave.
Yeah.
If you want to see how far the club has come, we have gone from signing people like Fazio to signing people like Romero.
Yeah, we've gone from signing someone like Fazio.
No, my argument's over. You agree? That's all good. Call it.
We've signed Fazio. We've gone to sign a rapping Italian goalkeeper. So
on loan.
Well, look, we've also got another birthday. The commentary legend that is Danny Murphy is 45 today. My question to you is, who played more games for Spurs, Fazio or Murphy? Let's go around the room. And again, you can play along in the chat. More games for Spurs, Federico Fazio or Danny Murphy?
Well, I think Danny Murphy was married to someone who was in Hollyoaks, so that's more impressive than Fazio. So I'm going to go with Fazio.
He's a terrible commentator, though, I've got to be honest. HG.
Well, weirdly enough, I literally just looked, before you even asked the question, I looked up to see how many times Federico Vecchio played for Spurs. So I have some kind of knowledge on this. I would hope, based on how few games he played, that Murphy played more. But I don't know. Yeah, I'll go with Murphy.
Who said that? My son's YouTube profile is Mr. fucking Kaboom. This is Bram. Brilliant. It's actually just Mr. Kaboom. There's no fucking involved, but, you know. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. That's what Dave does. That's what he taught me well. JP.
I'm going to say Murphy as well, but I think it could be close.
Okay. And last but by no means least, Stevie.
Tricky one, isn't it? Both of them are
terrible, by the way.
Both are highly forgettable, so blanked out most of the games they played. Probably Murphy.
It's close.
I think it'll be close. I think it will be close.
It is close. So Fazio played 32 games for us with no goals. Danny Murphy, 29 games and 2 goals.
There you go.
There you go. On the day, some on the day action for you. Well, on the 17th of March 2012, so yesterday, unfortunately, that was when Fabrice Muamba collapsed on the pitch. Believe it or not, only seems like yesterday, that, doesn't it, Dave?
It does. It does. And the amazing thing that, you know, there was a doctor in the crowd who raced out and saved his life. It seems that we've got a lot better on that and dealing with stuff like that, both to players. Look at Ericsson and obviously and everything that's been going on with supporters this year in the stands and things like that. So we've moved on from a health and safety point of view, which is obviously a good thing.
Thank goodness. Yeah, it was terrible. 17th of March 2007, on a lighter note, goalkeeper Paul Robinson scored against Watford in a 3-1 win. Anyone remember who was in goal for Watford 15 years ago?
I know.
Go on then.
Ben Foster.
There you go. And the 18th of March 2006, a 2-0 away at Birmingham. Aaron Lennon scored his first Spurs goal. First of a few, actually. And then there's some other good games for you. 19th of March 2008, a 4-4 with Chelsea. Chelsea were 3-1 up at that point, apparently.
That must be the Robbie Keane kind of last-minute equaliser thing, where he got it from, 25 yards?
Yeah.
Is that game?
That's right.
Must be.
But it felt like a winner, really, didn't it?
Didn't Cashley Cole do an absolutely disgusting tackle on Berbatov or Keane or someone? Or a real leg breaker. Do you remember that? And he didn't get sent off.
Shocking. And then last but by no means least, 18th of March 1961, Spurs beat Burnley 3-0 in just in front of just under 70,000 at Villa Park in the FA Cup semi-final. How times have changed.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to go to that game because I hadn't done my homework that week. There you go.
That would have been a top of the table clash back then in the FA Cup, but first versus second or something stupid like that. So
yeah, that's right.
In all honesty, it surprised me you went to school, Dave. To be honest, listening to you.
Did I go to school? Did I go to school? I think I did go to school. Thanks.
Law school, believe it or not.
I did pass law school as well. Yeah, it's all true. Well, I've got some more West Ham questions for you if you want them.
West Ham questions. What relating to?
Well, West Ham, probably.
Well, I'm just. Does anyone know what the Zuma brothers' favourite Andrew Lloyd Webber musical is?
Oh, so not questions. Is it Cats by any chance?
I think you might be right there. And on a musical theme, do you know who the Zuma brothers' favourite band are?
No, go on.
Of course, it's the Pussycat Dolls. But well done, HG, because you got the Cure Love Cats, which is right up my musical Strasser, and I didn't get that at all. And it's from the 80s, so well done, HG, on that one.
Have you got any more to get out your system?
No, I think you did. No, the rest of them got put in the run sheet, but you thought John wrote them, and that's why you read them out. Just saying.
Right, we're in extra time now, so we've got any other business. So if you've got any questions for the panelists, drop them into the chat. I mean, HG,
Nice.
your wife's been busy again. Apart from after good-looking John, is this a worry?
No. I'm not worried. Why would I be worried about that? No.
You know, I feel kind of like, I don't know. I'm not comfortable with all of this because, you know, the man in Melbourne's considered the best looking Australian. The man who runs, you know, the John is the best looking in the HG household. Where does it leave the rest of us? I feel kind of.
I guess it just means you have to move to the south coast of whatever country you live in.
Well, move to the southern hemisphere. Is that not good enough?
No, because Melbourne's further south.
Yeah, but there's more to do in Sydney.
And we all know that Melbourne is better than Sydney.
No, it's not. Look at you look at the iconic landmarks of Australia, leaving aside Uluru, just to be clear, and it's in Sydney. It's not in Melbourne. What they got in Melbourne?
People go to visit Sydney and they go to live in Melbourne because it's a better place to be.
Break it up, you two. Break it up. Time out. Stop biffering each other, whatever it's called.
Biffo, mate. Biffo. Bit of Biffo.
Biffo. Steve, are we ever getting naming rights? Adrian wants to know.
Yes, I suspect we will at some point. I also suspect the markets aren't particularly easy at the moment. So, like, nearly all the deals I'm doing are being pushed. You know, some Russian bloke has done something in Ukraine that's kind of scared people off a bit. And then we had some bloke in China do something with a virus that also scared people off over the last couple of years. So it's been a difficult few years for businesses and difficult few years for people spending significant amounts of money on advertising, which is obviously what naming rights are. I suspect we will get some, and it is frustrating we haven't got them yet. The only thing I've ever heard is, you know,
frustrating.
It's ongoing. I think it's frustrating for us all, quite frankly, because, you know, it could be a lot of money into the club and a lot of money which Davo's going to jump in very soon, which we can spend on players and we can subsidise other events as well, Davo, because that's what the club's about. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Barcelona got naming rights. Also, Barcelona is, you know, a much bigger brand than us, is a much easier sell, quite frankly. Did you want to do a welcome homes? I think everybody's welcome to this channel.
Everybody's welcome in the cheese room, whatever your views.
Even if you don't like cheese, you're welcome to a cheese room.
But there's one person who's not welcome, but Voldemort.
You don't have to name me out loud, mate. One thing I will say, there will be some announcements coming from a club, hopefully over the coming weeks, which will really appease Davo.
It's more concerts, isn't it?
Is it New Kids on the Block? They're coming back.
I'm not going to say who it is. There are at least 2 large concerts which are likely to come to us, and there may be a boxing match which is likely to come to us. But I think the boxing matches may be drifting off to Dubai. But
well, the boxing matches are a massive spanner in the works, isn't it? Because ultimately, the guy AJ needs to fight is fighting the Russians. So that's not going to happen for a long time.
There is an issue there. There is a slight issue there.
Do you not think Levy's backed the wrong boxing horse? Because he's got AJ in, whereas Tyson Fury these fights at Wembley. Just saying.
Well, I mean, AJ's sold out Wembley several times as well, hasn't he? So I know I've seen him there, and I tell you, I will say this, Dave. It's a lot better to watch a boxing match in the Tottenham Stadium than it is at Wembley.
But I mean, surely it makes sense for Spurs to pick the loser of the two. That makes sense.
What did you say, Steve?
Yeah. How's the queue for G&T?
Steve Hitchin scouted Fury and AJ, and he went with AJ. But he thought his name was AJ, and that was the end of that one. But if you don't mind, Steve, coming back to your original point about it's not a good economic climate for naming rights and things like that. We opened up that stadium late in 2019. The global pandemic.
He can't help himself.
The global pandemic. Hang
on.
The global pandemic kicked in March 2020. We reached the Champions League final in May 2019, and we kind of generally held up the facade that we were good until Bayern Munich spanked us about 5 or 6 months later. So kind of a good time to do your naming rights then. And also maybe the 2.5 years we spent trying to build the thing would have been a good time to do naming rights. But Steve, do you have any thought on the opinion that maybe what ENIC are trying to do is part of the deal to buying some of their shares in the club or all their shares in the club is to tie up the naming rights deal in that as well? Any comment on that?
Potentially, but I think one of the issues is this naming rights deal is going to be more complicated than any other naming rights deal that's ever been done. So you've got two of the biggest sports in the world, and Cooler can shut up about Formula One for a second. So he's a Max
It's back
fanboy.
this weekend.
But yeah, don't we know it? The 800 posts you shared on Facebook have indicated that. But yeah, it's a complicated deal. Like, should they have done it earlier? Potentially. Like, there's probably been some missed opportunities there. Do I think it will be linked into some kind of full ownership, part ownership? No, I don't. I don't think anybody who's going to be interested in buying us is going to be interested in having naming rights. I don't think we're going to have a brand bias. I think if somebody buys us, it could be some investment vehicle in the US that nobody's ever heard of with some ridiculous company name, and they don't want that plastered all over the stadiums. There's no benefit for them. Yeah, we're not going to get a Nike bias. We're not going to get and it is Nike before somebody criticizes me. Yeah, Nike's not going to buy us. Amazon's not going to buy us. Nobody who wants to give us naming rights is going to want to buy us. I'll probably be proven wrong next week, but I don't see that happening.
No, it's the way a simpleton thinks.
But I do share frustration that we don't have naming rights yet. But I do also have sympathy.
I don't have any.
That it's complex.
I don't have any problem with it at all. Two reasons. Number one, I would rather they wait for the right deal. And I think the stadium had to be open and doing events, especially the NFL, before people appreciate the true value of it, particularly overseas investors. And there's a lot of value having it called the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium because that is now in the NFL, for example, that is now in their vocabulary, which it just wasn't before and wouldn't have been if you pre-sold the rights. That's the first reason. The second reason is I don't really understand why everyone's so keen to or thinks, and I'd love Steve's opinion on this when he comes back from the toilet. I'd love Steve's opinion on. I don't think any of the money from stadium naming rights is going to go into the team. I think it'll just pay off the stadium debt.
No, I doubt it. So stadium debts in long-term bonds. I can't remember the rate is on bonds, but they're between 15 and 27 years or something, very low rate. Levy's played a blind with that. I did a while back calculate what the annual charge was on it, and it's peanuts for us. So debt is not bad. I cannot see those naming rights paying off the debt, quite frankly. I can see it being recycled back into the club. But also, do I expect that we're going to get 250 million, 500 million day one? No, I don't. So I don't want people to get excited if they see a 500 million pound naming rights deal that they think all of a sudden we're going to have 500 million to spend. We're not. Dave's smirking.
That's the way people will think about it. Dave's smirking.
What did Adrian say? How come Chelsea have lots of interested parties in terms of buying them?
Yeah.
Probably because they're a better team than we are. They've got better global brand than we've got at the moment, and they'll be cheaper.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have the infrastructure we've got, which is going to add a lot of money onto the valuation of a club. They got a buyer, an owner that's basically selling under a fire sale situation. And like Scott said, it's being bought on the sanction rate. and realistically, they're going to be bought cash-free, debt-free. So yeah, you've got a reasonably well-run club that's winning things every year, every couple of years with not a crazy amount of infrastructure to push up the price.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we're actually in a situation where I think we're going to be very difficult to sell because we have a whopping great stadium with a lot of value attributed to it. And I think that's going to cause us issues in terms of who buys us.
I mean, there's also the fact that Chelsea is up for sale and Spurs isn't publicly up for sale anyway. So obviously you're going to get lots more interested parties, aren't you?
I think Tottenham. I think Tottenham are up for sale from the point of view that, as I said, it's a private equity deal. Levy gets 30% in the business that he's been asked to manage, and the long-term game has always been that ENIC realise their value on the investment and sell up.
But Dave, that's never the whole point of absolutely. But the club's always been for sale, like for the right price.
Yeah, but when you say when you say it's not for sale, I'm just saying. Well, I think it is for sale. I'm saying,
well, yes, but they're not actively trying to sell the club, whereas Chelsea are actively trying to sell the club urgently at a knockdown basement bargain rate, aren't they? That's the.
Yeah, we know it's entirely different. I'd be interested what JP's opinion is on this. Seriously.
In Chelsea's sale or in
or this whole what we've been discussing?
I agree with Steve that the naming rights won't be tied up to the sale of the club. The only reason someone would do that is if we're being bought by a nation state, and then they also were tied to an airline, and then maybe that would happen. But I don't think that there is anyone out there at the moment to buy the club that we want to buy the club that would do a better job than the current owners we have. So from a fan's perspective, I'm not worried about the sale. I don't want there particularly to be a sale that goes through anytime soon.
There you go, Dave.
I think JP makes a great point because sometimes it's better the devil, like ENIC are not perfect. Somebody in the chat, Super Tottenham, mentioned about putting statues outside the ground. What an easy win that would be for the fan base, right? For the owners on the fan base. There's plenty of good stuff the owners could do. I'm sure Levy could back out of more transfer deals and leave it to Paratici and Conte. There's stuff they could do, but overall they're decent owners. Not the best, but certainly not the worst. The risk is we now have a club that is set up on a non-subsidised basis, Davo, to generate a large amount of money from both footballing and non-footballing events. If I'm an American investment fund, that looks pretty tasty to me. I invest in it, I buy it, and I dividend strip a club. And you could keep a club running at a fairly mediocre basis, keep it just chipping over, and take out a decent chunk of dividends out of the club. And that could just stagnate us. So we may get an owner that comes in maybe not like an Abramovich at the moment, but an Abramovich-esque owner who does invest some money into us. But I think we're far more likely to get a US corporate, an investment fund, PE company that just wants to extract cash from the business in the short term, and that's all they're interested in.
I think when you're talking about
the risk.
But they're not ENIC, so Dave will be really happy.
Well, no, Dave will blame ENIC for selling us to our new owners. So in 10 years' time, we'll be in this pod, and he'll still be blaming ENIC because we've been sold to Joe Blogg's PE firm.
And you've got to think about the motivation of you're right, Steve, the motivation of the person buying the club. And at when you're talking billions of pounds to buy a club, it's got to be something that I can get cash out of immediately. And so it's going to go to an investment firm.
Or
if I'm someone
or a vanity project.
Well, and I think that's my second point is Tottenham a vanity project? If I'm a super ego-driven billionaire, I'm looking at a club that's lower down the table that I can turn around and say, look what I turned this thing into. Tottenham are, without having won trophies, for a billionaire, a relatively easy project. I would be looking, if it was me, I'd be looking down at a Middlesbrough or a Birmingham and saying, I'm going to take a Newcastle and say I can put 100, 200, 300 million to buy this club, not 3 billion, and turn it into what I would if I was buying Tottenham.
I mean, the reality of Newcastle was that, what did they pay? 300 million for it.
Yeah.
By the time they're finished with it, it'll be a much more valuable asset, regardless of the fact that they'll spend a fortune on winning stuff and all the rest of it. But
to get any more value out of Tottenham, you need to start winning some stuff so you can build up your global brand. But you're really leveraging the Premier League increasing in its value, and that's when you can get satellite TV into Africa or something like that. That's really what you're looking for to get any more value out of Tottenham at this point in time. So it's much better sell for someone who's just looking to drive some value out of a club to look further down the table.
I mean, that's a good point. Leeds probably wouldn't. I mean, Leeds have got a super rich owner anyway, I think. But yeah, clubs like Leeds, that's the sort of pick it up for 300 million, make them win some stuff, sell it for a couple of billion. That's kind of the interest. Does any of that worry you, Dave? I mean, I'm a bit torn myself, to be honest. But what do you think?
Well, I think a couple of points on this. One, we are owned by an investment company. We're owned by a company that has its media and hospitality. That's what it does. They used to own a lot of football clubs. I think they got rid of all of their holdings and all of them a while ago. And in terms of kind of taking dividends out of the club, well, he doesn't, but he is the second highest paid chairman in the Premier League, Levy, and he did give himself 3.5 million for the stadium that was late. I think for
cents from a dollar, let's face it.
Hang on, but then the potential for an owner coming in to me is we actually win the Premier League. We're actually in regular Champions League football, and we go deep into the competition, and then we increase our brand. So, I mean, my perception is, JP, in Australia, is that the Chelsea and Man City brand has massively increased its profile in Australia over the last 10 to 15 years. And traditionally, that's been more your Liverpool, Man United, I think, anyway. And I think so the potential there is the global brand increasing hugely for someone to come in as an owner to do that. So I think there is potential there. And I think that I know the Champions League's got a new format next season, which I know HG is across all that, and I find it very confusing. But we'll still need to be at that table, unfortunately, in order to do that. But I think that, they are an investment company. He has paid himself a lot of money, and that's what it is. And I think that what the issue I have with Levy is that his record on footballing matters over his 22-year ownership has been appalling, and he's interfered too much. I mean, he was the one who drove Bale coming back last season, and I don't think that was a huge success. I'd rather the money had been spent on funding Skriniar than Bale, and that's where we are. But I think that the argument that rains down is, well, you don't like Enoch, but who else are we going to get in? But I think that's kind of like it defeats the point of the argument. It's saying that I have huge criticisms of the ownership on the 2 or 3 occasions where we've had a real opportunity to kind of invest in the squad and take us to the next level with Redknapp, with Poch. We haven't done that. And the fact of the matter is, and Paul Muir spoke about this on the pod this week, that if Conte does walk, and we know he's a volatile character, but if he does walk, where does this leave Enoch and Levy in terms of the next manager? Because we sure had enough trouble filling the role over the summer. So from a footballing point of view, we've got a real issue if he walks and he doesn't feel that he's backed, because I don't think there's anywhere else left to go now. HG, you've been very quiet on this.
Yeah, I'm bored of the conversation, frankly. It's like we don't know what's going to happen. It's going to take a few months for naming rights. When it comes to the ownership of the club, that's not going to change anytime soon. So it's like what are you going to do when you win the lottery? Well, I don't play the lottery. I don't. It's a nonsensical discussion. As much as I understand that people care, I just know I care more about us making the better football decisions, like we have done in the last year or so by buying players that have actually improved the team. I care more about that than I do really who owns the club or whether we get an extra 25 million from some company I've never heard of each year. That I'm not interested really.
Can I say something in support of Dave?
Yeah.
One thing I definitely agree with you on is, and I've definitely said this to you, but I do think it is unfair when people say, when somebody says, I want ENIC out, and then somebody retorts with, well, who do you want it? And so I think to the average person on the street, it's a very different thing to say, I think we should sell Winks, and then to ask somebody who follows football, well, who do you think we should replace him with? Because we can all come up with examples. It's very difficult to come up with an example for who you would want to buy the club. That's almost an impossible question. So I do that to you as well, just to annoy you. But I do have sympathy there. I do agree that's an unfair question.
I do have sympathy for Dave and these guys too. HG, talk us through what's happening here.
So it's a picture I saw online. Obviously, you can see what they're trying to do, what they haven't done. They just got their either they didn't know what sides they were going to be lining up or whatever. But they should have realised that the goalkeeper, wearing S is a problem. But yeah, it's I don't even know what country it's from, but I just saw it online.
Raw Pots.
Yeah.
Raw Pots.
Steve Potts' third son to make it into professional football.
Okay, look.
When you said Stephen's son, you worried me there, because I've just come back from Vegas. So.
What happens there stays there, apart from the disease.
Apart from COVID.
Yeah.
Apart from when you take your girlfriend on a lad's trip to Vegas. Anyway.
Look, we're going to wrap there. We've been going an hour and 46 minutes. Please do hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It means the world to us and takes you 2 seconds. So please do that. JP, all the way from the land down under. You better run. You better take cover. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Stevie, thanks for breaking short your trip to the pub to go around your mate's house and wear a headset whilst they're running around naked.
Yeah, apologies for any disruption.
You may now go and join the orgy. HD, once again, thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming back to us from Tottenham on Tour.
No, it's good to come home. A away trip is always fun, but it's always good to be home.
Give me a hug, come on.
Before you know it,
big old lug.
When you dropped away, I thought you were going to be on Tottenham away for a minute and next. And Dave-O, thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure. It's been so long since I got to read one of your well-prepared run sheets with you in the chat, in the room. So thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure, and always credit to John. He puts in a lot of work behind the scenes and putting all this together with everyone else. So
he does.
Nice
the
one,
ultimate
John.
Producer.
He is. He should win a BAFTA.
And until next time, we're going to beat the spam. We're going to beat the Caravan Club. And Claws will be out next Monday when we'll be back. Catch the podcast following the game. It's normally up the same day, if not the early hours of the morning the following day. So you'll be able to listen to the pod team talk through what will be a victory, I'm sure, this weekend. And until next time, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on,
you Spurs.